Nearly a quarter of Canadians say they would not feel safe going to a polling station to cast their ballot. Those 18 to 34 are more likely to hold that view at 30%, followed by 25% of the 35 to 54 cohort and 19% of those aged 55 and older. Just less than 1 in 5 voters, or 16%, say they will be voting by mail in this election. Based on how many people voted in 2019, that number would equal nearly 3 million ballots cast by mail, compared to just 50,000 in the last election.
About a quarter of the people that we interviewed said that they are really feeling not safe about voting in person. So they're going to change the way that they vote this time. And one of the things is obviously they're going to be evaluating safety before they decide finally whether they're going to vote in person. But an awful lot of people, about 16% of the people we interviewed, said that they were going to vote by mail probably for the first time this time. Well, the flex point in vote turnout tends to be younger voters. When they're really motivated to show up, they can have an influence on the election campaign. And when they don't, they don't. And what the survey is showing is that this is one of those groups that is going to be disproportionately affected by the question of safety at the polls. And they're considering voting by mail. But given their weak attachment to the political system, going through the extra hoops that one has to do in order to vote by mail might be enough to keep them from not participating. So the potential, again, is that this could be a low turnout election. However, if people really think that this is going to turn into an election of consequence, they may be able to get over that. But at the moment, I think what we're seeing is that just the friction related to COVID and how it gets in the way of people voting in the way that they normally do might reduce voter turnout. So places that haven't had the same experience in participating in an election in which mail has been involved or has been a dominant method of voting or a more prominent method of voting, Elections Canada should be looking at those places as encouraging people to consider voting by mail. Because the other option isn't that they're going to put on masks and go out to the voting booth. Probably what they're going to do is not vote at all. So making it easy for people to understand how they're going to participate by mail is going to be a really big responsibility for Elections Canada, but also for the parties that rely on people who are less attached to the political system. They're going to have to do something to motivate these people to show up. One of the questions that we've been tracking in the survey is whether or not we should be having an election in this pandemic. Now, one of the hypotheses I had was that, and we certainly heard from the punditry, that what would happen is people would get over the idea of having a pandemic election pretty quickly, and they would, get engaged with the campaign and get over the hump of having to vote. In fact, what we found in this survey was that the number of people who say that we should not be having an election during the pandemic actually has gone up over the space of the last 2 weeks. It's gone from 56 up to 58. So this is a persistent issue, and it's overriding so many things in this campaign. It's overarching the entire campaign. The inappropriate, the feeling that having this election at this time is inappropriate. But there's a couple of things going on here. One of them is the fourth wave and people feeling that it represents a certain amount of risk. But the other thing is that they don't know what it was that required us to have this election now. So it's not like it was mandated by the fact that it was 4 years and therefore we're supposed to have an election. The government wasn't defeated. This was a choice that was made to have an election. And as a result of that, it just seems in this particular example, people are not happy with it. And the fact that the number has gone up demonstrates that it's not going away. What we're finding so far is that what the race is doing, particularly the announcements that have been made during the course of the campaign, is it's not caused a sea change in terms of a party support. But what we're seeing is that both the NDP and the Conservatives are slightly chipping away through their announcements and how they're running at their campaigns, slightly chipping away at the support of the Liberal Party. And clearly the Liberals are in a situation in which they don't have momentum. And what's happening during the course of the campaign is not building their support as much as the support is being built for the opposition parties.